we walked into the Oval Office, and see, I wasn't really tumbling to the fact that he has a lot of photographs in his left hand, and he's got badges. I mean, just to get Elvis over to the desk, it took a little effort, because he walked in the door and he looked at the eagles engraved in the ceiling and eagles engraved in the carpets and the floor, and I knew it sort of overwhelmed him. I'm a poor boy from Tupelo, Mississippi, and I'm here in the Oval Office of the President of the United States. So I sort of escorted him, I put my hand on his back and moved him over to the desk, and you can see here that he's wearing his cool glasses and his cape and his shirt. Nobody was ever dressed quite that way in the Oval Office. And the president had never seen anyone quite like that either. He is showing the president pictures of Lisa Marie, I think, Priscilla, and some of his badges.
And was this part of the play-by-play that you designed?
Well, actually, I'm really going to resign as a scriptwriter, because not one thing that I put in my talking points were actually said during the meeting. And then he talked about how difficult it was to play Las Vegas. And the president said, yes, I understand. That's a hard gig to do out there. And I go, how does he know that? It's just, so this stuff is going back and forth, and I'm just watching this amazing conversation unfold. And as Jerry has set this up so perfectly, Elvis turns to the president, and he said, Mr. President, can you get me a badge from the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs? Now, I ask this audience, if you don't know the answer to that question, what is the right answer as the staff person responsible for the meeting? What should I have said? Anybody help me here? Oh, wait, no, don't. I'll look into it. Let me check it out. Let me find out if it's legal. You know, I mean, a lot of things that you want to find out in advance. What do you think I said? Mr. President, if you want to get him a badge, we can get him one. Okay, exactly. So at that point, the president said, get him a badge. I want him to have one. Elvis is overcome, and he steps forward and he grabs the president. And he hugs him, which wasn't the norm in that White House. You know, it's just, and I'm watching this, probably the last meeting they're going to let me run around this place. You know, I'm out of here. And then after that, he turned to the president, and this shows what Jerry was talking about in terms of Elvis's loyalty to his friends. And he turned to the president and said, Mr. President, do you have time to meet my friends? It would mean a great deal to them. And the president looks at me and said, but do we have time for that? I mean, already we are far beyond anything anybody thought about this meeting. And I said, well, yes, sir, we do. He said, fine. The friends come in.
There they are.
The president's got his hands on his hips, and he said, you got a couple of big ones here, Elvis. You know?
When you took us down to the Oval Room, if you remember, it wasn't a staff guy or anybody opened the door, it was Elvis. And so pictures are flat, right? And all the stuff I'd seen at the White House, when Elvis opened the door and said, come on, you know, I looked down and there was the president at his desk at that point. Yeah. And I realized the Oval Room was oval. That was my first. Wow. And Elvis thought I was afraid, which I was intimidated. And he kind of pushed me in. And Sonny comes in, and as we're going over, the president kind of did a little thing like that on my shoulder.
Yeah, he whacked
and goes, look like some football players.
Yeah. It wasn't not a technical assault. It was just a little punch. And what was so fun about this part of it, too, is that after the president has met with some guests, he often likes, when the meeting's coming to an end, he wants to give gifts to the people that have been there. Now, let's say that you've won the award for Best Cow for the 4-H Club in King County, Washington, and you come to the Oval Office. The president will go in his bottom drawer and give you a golf ball. Here's your ball. And it's there's no connection between ball, cow, 4-H. Here's your ball. But it's nice. And the cheap. Now, this is one of the most abiding memories that I have of this entire episode. The president went behind his desk, and he opens the bottom left-hand drawer. On your left side, the bottom drawer on that side of the desk is where he had the gifts. And they're arranged by golf balls through cufflinks to bracelets to pins. Yeah. And I don't know if it's an ascending order of value from the cheapest to the 16-karat gold that you give to the big hitters. But anyway, he's behind his desk, starting to reach down. Now, Elvis didn't get to be the king of rock by not knowing where the gold is. So he went behind the desk with the president The KGB can't do this, but Elvis Presley is diving into the president's drawer, and the president's looking at me, he's cleaning me out. He's going back in. I mean, you saw this. And remember what he said. Remember, Mr. President, they have wives. And so how come all these presidents, this is 4 days before Christmas, they did all their Christmas shopping in the president's drawer. And I'm watching this, there's the florist over there. Well, looks pretty good to me. And so anyway, what did you get, by the way? I always wondered what...
I got a set of cufflinks, and then when Elvis said, they have wives, there was a gold president pennant for my wife.
Yeah. The White House mess is a place that has seen many famous people, movie stars, famous senators, even heads of state would like to be able to eat there. But when I walked in to the White House mess with Jerry and Sonny West and Elvis Presley in his great outfit, the jaws just dropped. And so we had a great lunch together. And then afterwards, now, you have to understand, halfway through this meeting, the president and Elvis concluded that it ought to be kept secret, because they weren't sure that their respective constituencies would understand why we were all together, you see. And so Elvis was saying, well, I think we need to keep this confidential. And the president said, good idea. Yes, that's a good idea. We'll do that. Well, after lunch, I called John Finlater over at the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. And this decision to give the badge was not my finest hour. I just want you to know, I just said, yes, I went along with it. I should have thought it through. But I said, John, the president has decided that he would like to give an authentic badge to Elvis Presley. And John Finlater's response was, well, I guess it's not so bad to be overruled by the president. He had given the correct answer before. Right. And so he brought a badge over after lunch.
And that's why we had lunch, because Elvis was not going to leave
without it.
Yeah.
But that badge was the reason he met with Finlater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
who turned him down.
Who turned him down.
Yeah.
So the first person he meets turns him down.
So if the head of the bureau.
If you can't get it from an agency head, you go to the president.
Well, you go to you go right up the chain.
Yeah.
So he brought that badge over, and you did leave with that. Now, when I said it was secret not just for a week. It was a secret for 13 months.
Is that amazing?
Now, here's the way Washington works. Some people will write memoirs, and somehow those memoirs, those drafts, might get into the possession of an investigative reporter. Jack Anderson was a very popular, how many remember Jack Anderson? Oh, you all do. There you go. And there was a story that came out on January 25th, 1972, and I will get, you can't see this, I don't think we have a slide. Presley gets Narcotics Bureau badge. Now, this is not exactly a hot news story. This happened a year and a month earlier, but Finlater's memoirs had gotten to Jack Anderson. And it was like, he got a narcotics badge? What's this all about?
I wondered how he got it.
That's how he got it, from John Finlater. And in John Finlater's memoirs, he describes the first meeting that he had with Elvis, and then my call later on. John and I were good friends, and I felt badly about really making the call, but not so bad. I don't feel so bad right now.
Jerry, could you tell us, you got a bit of a tour of the White House. What did Elvis say when he saw the situation?
Well, Elvis was a huge film buff, and there was a film called Dr. Strangelove, and which we saw, I guess, 15 times at our private screenings, and Elvis could play every part. He could play Peter Sellers choking himself. He could do George C. Scott, Mr. President, and all that stuff. He was a great actor, actually. And so there's a part in there where they go in the situation room, and Peter Sellers says, "You can't fight in the war room." So we go in the situation room, and Elvis says, "You can't fight in the war room."
Yeah, that's right.
He had a great sense of humor too.
The King of Rock comes to the White House in the morning, And we weren't secreting him through tunnels or anything like that. I mean, we were moving him through the Roosevelt Room into the Oval Office. Afterwards, we went down the halls, and Elvis was friendly with a lot of the employees.
He kissed a couple of the girls.
Kissed a couple of the girls.
Yeah.
So it's, and they remembered that. And so it was something where to keep that confidential is almost, I mean, it's incredible. How could that happen? Top secret material floats out of that place every day, you know. But having this man come in with you and with Sonny and have that be kept secret for 13 months was incredible. And I think that's what really piqued Jack Anderson's interest.
Did you get special bragging rights in the Nixon White House because
Absolutely.
you had met?
Oh, and I have just, you know, I've milked this as much as possible.
We still are.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. 40 years later.
We can now listen to President Richard Nixon remember meeting Elvis Presley. So if we could play that clip now.
Elvis was clutching some badges from various police departments and sheriff's departments around the country. Then Elvis starts showing the president his cufflinks, and the president's looking at those. Oh, those are nice cufflinks.
Well, he was very flamboyant.
President Nixon recalled the meeting in a 1990 interview.
I didn't know that much about him except what I had read. But as I talked to him, I sensed, too, that basically he's a very shy man. The flamboyance was covering up the shyness. People say that because later on it was found that he had used drugs, that therefore he could not be a good example. They overlooked the fact that he never used illegal drugs. It was always drugs prescribed by his physician. But I think that he was a very sincere and decent man.
You know, what the president said is true, actually. There's a difference between street drugs and prescription drugs. You can certainly abuse prescription drugs. But, you know, my observation of this meeting, when I saw the most powerful person in the world who, you know, personally, politically, I was on the other side at that time, and I saw him meeting the most popular person in the world, and I saw there was these two great men when you think of the world and history, both who were had been at the top of their professions, but weren't at that moment. But my observation of seeing two great men connect on a human level, and I think they really got the loneliness of both of their positions in the world. And it wasn't just that meeting, they stayed in touch.
Jerry, tell a little bit of when Richard Nixon went into the hospital, what Elvis did.
Elvis called him when the president had phlebitis, and when Elvis went in the hospital, the president contacted him.
Yeah.
And there was a really mutual respect, and, you know, and I admired, first of all, if there was ever an American story, that was Elvis Presley. We grew up in North Memphis, poor section. And here we were in the Oval Room of the White House with the President of the United States. And the President got, as you did in the pre-meeting, got what Elvis's intentions were. Elvis, in his own way, understood a certain amount of the pressures of the presidency. If there was ever a true American story, I think that's one of the top. What he was really proud about was that he got the badge.
Yeah.
You know, we met on tours and stuff. We had a lot of security, and Elvis liked to hang out with the police officers. Some became good friends of ours, various parts of the country. And he had a briefcase of real badges from different states. And he was very particular who he showed this badge to.
He carried it, didn't he?
Always. Yes.
And that's on display at Graceland right now in that long hall of awards.
Yeah.
It's up on the wall.
The wall of gold.
Yeah, wall of gold.